Why is MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol, A2A, which is Agent to Agent, and ACP, Agent Communication Protocol, such a big deal for enterprise? Well, to understand that, let's go back a few years to when ChatGPT came on the scene. And that allowed us to be able to push prompts into an LLM. And from that LLM, we got responses. And that was great. We were blown away with what that was. But unfortunately, inside enterprise, that had very limited usage. Okay, so the next step of that evolution, we ended up with tools and RAG. This meant that we were able to use our LLM with the prompts to actually interact with tools and also our own specific data. And again, that was a significant step forward, but to be able to make this useful, we had to do a significant amount of engineering. Okay, so fast forward to today, when we have MCP, A2A, and ACP with their standardized protocols for talking to all these different services. Okay, so how does that translate into the enterprise world? Well, if you imagine when we build an integrated process, so a business process that we automate, we might go A talks to B, we might have an API, we might have a system, we might have an interface. What happened then is A might talk to the API, B might access a system, then we might have C, that might have a specific interface, and that makes up the business process. And then if we wanted to make a decision, we might go off to D, might go off to E. Now, that is all great, but the problem we have with this is that that is quite a static process. And if something like F comes along, that means then that we're having to go back into development, redeploy everything, go through the software development lifecycle. Okay, so how does this new standard change our world? Okay, so it's very specific. But if we had, for instance, an AI agent, and that AI agent had an LLM, which was trained to do one specific business function, and then we had MCP as our standardized way of talking to all these different services, then what we have then is not this static workflow where we have to basically develop code. What we have is an LLM that we can train and add more resources to. So if we had, for instance, more resources here, we can train this specific AI agent to now interact with these new resources. And even when we talk about how these systems then generate events, when they generate events, then these events can also be consumed by the AI agent. So you then start getting into a world where we are fully autonomous in what we're doing. And this agent can work away based upon the information it's receiving, the access it has to all the different resources. So this is a new world. It is much more intelligent and much more dynamic. We are going to be doing more content with physical demos showing these different business scenarios in action. And this is why these standards are now making a massive difference to the way we work within enterprise.